The Illusion of Victory, July 22nd, 1941. For 30 hours, Western Russia outside Smolensk, engines idle in the half-light, their low growl rolling across scorched fields and shattered villages. A German staff car skids to a stop beside a forward command post. Boots hit the dirt. Cigarette smoke curls into the cold morning air. Somewhere ahead, artillery thumps, distant, methodical, almost bored. Maps are unrolled on the hood of a Kubel wagon. Red pins mark cities already taken. Minsk, then Smolensk. Lines stretch east like an open hand reaching for Moscow. A major laughs softly. Another few weeks, he says. At most. Around him, officers nod. The Red Army, they believe, is finished. You can hear it in their voices. Confidence hardened into certainty. Entire Soviet formations have vanished into encirclements. Hundreds of thousands of prisoners shuffle west under guard, hollow-eyed, starving. The roads are choked with abandoned T-26 tanks, burnt-out trucks, smashed artillery pieces. Proof to the Germans that the enemy has nothing left to give. Panzer Group 2 refuels. Panzer Group 3 reforms its columns. The men clean dust from their weapons, write letters home, boast quietly about being in Moscow by autumn. Some even talk about parading through Red Square before the first snow. The war, they think, is already won. But the land tells a different story. The sun rises over endless forests and marshes that swallow sound and distance alike. Roads marked on German maps dissolve into mud or simply vanish. Supply convoys lag behind, stretched thin over hundreds of kilometers. Fuel arrives late. Ammunition arrives slower. Spare parts don't arrive at all. Still, the order stands. Vorwärts. Forward. Army Group Center pushes on. At the front, infantrymen of the 10th Panzer Division advance through waist-high rye fields, rifles at the ready. It's quiet. Too quiet. Then, machine gun fire erupts from a tree line that wasn't supposed to hold anyone. Mortar rounds follow. Soviet soldiers, supposedly shattered, fight from dug-in positions, buying time with blood. More time than expected. Each kilometer east costs more than the last. Vehicles overheat. Tracks wear down. Horses collapse under overloaded wagons. Medics run short of bandages. The dead begin to outnumber the captured. Yet back at headquarters, the mood barely shifts. Reports are filtered. Losses minimized. Resistance labeled local. Hitler's directive still echoes through every chain of command. The Soviet Union will collapse like a rotten structure once kicked hard enough. What the German officers around that Kubel wagon cannot see, what no aerial photograph yet reveals, is that far beyond the front lines, entire factories are being dismantled, machine tools loaded onto trains, workers herded east beyond the Urals. New armies are forming, not retreating, rebuilding in the vastness the Germans cannot reach. And above all, something else is moving toward them. Not an army, not a counterattack. Time, and with it, winter. The engines' rev columns roll forward again, dust rising behind them like victory itself. Unaware that every mile east is drawing them deeper into a trap they do not yet believe exists. The advance that wouldn't end. August 18, 1941. Midday. The road east of Smolensk. The heat is crushing now. Helmets come off whenever officers aren't watching. Sweat darkens field gray uniforms. Dust coats everything. Faces, weapons, bread, lungs. Every step forward tastes like chalk. The road is no longer a road. It's a scar cut through forest and marsh, churned by tracks and hooves, baked hard by the sun, then broken again by sudden rain. Trucks bogged down axle deep. Horses scream when they fall. Men push, curse, slip, push again. This is not the war they trained for. Orders keep coming. Advance, secure, advance again, but the distances are lying. Villages marked as minor dots on the map take days to reach. Rivers appear where none were recorded. Bridges are gone, blown by retreating Soviet engineers who are learning fast. At the front, German infantry enters another village. Wooden houses, a church with its roof smashed in, chicken scatter, no civilians, no bodies. Then the first shot, A Feldwebel drops without a sound. A sniper round through the throat. The platoon dives for cover. More fire follows, from barns, from tree lines, from cellars. Red Army soldiers emerge like ghosts, fighting to the last bullet, then charging with bayonets when the ammunition runs out. They are not retreating anymore. They are delaying, and delay is deadly. Every firefight burns fuel. Every detour strains logistics. Ammunition stocks shrink. Rations thin. Fuel trucks arrive empty or don't arrive at all. Panzer crews begin siphoning gasoline from wrecked Soviet vehicles just to keep moving. Overhead, the Luftwaffe still dominates the sky. But its aircraft are flying farther each day, their airfields lagging behind the advance. Engines wear down. Maintenance crews work through the night under lantern light, cannibalizing damaged planes to keep others airborne. In headquarters, optimism cracks, but only slightly. Generals argue. One wants to drive straight for Moscow. Another insists on turning south to encircle Kiev. Orders come, then change again. Panzer units halt, then lurch forward, then halt once more. Momentum, once unstoppable, starts to stutter. The men feel it before the officers admit it. Letters home change in tone. "We are advancing," one soldier writes, but it feels like walking into something endless. The nights grow colder. Not winter cold, but sharp warning cold. Dew freezes on canvas tents. Fingers stiffen around rifle stocks before dawn. Boots never fully dry. And still, the Soviets keep coming. New units appear wearing mismatched uniforms, armed with older rifles, sometimes without helmets, but they fight with ferocity that surprises even veterans of France and Poland. Commissars shout. Political officers fall alongside enlisted men. No one surrenders easily now. Far behind the lines, Soviet trains move east under blackout conditions, carrying factories, workers, entire cities in pieces. Beyond the Urals, production lines are being reassembled. Tanks are already being designed that German intelligence hasn't even named yet. But at the front, none of that is visible. What is visible is the slowing. What is felt is exhaustion. And what begins to creep into conversations, spoken quietly after dark, is the unthinkable question. What if this doesn't end before winter? The answer is coming. It's already on the wind. The weather turns. October 7th, 1941. 6:10 hours. Near Vyazma. Rain falls in sheets, cold and relentless, hammering steel helmets and turning the earth into a living thing. The ground moves underfoot. Roads dissolve. Vehicles sink. This is the Rasputitsa, the season of mud, and it arrives without mercy. Panzer tracks spin uselessly, flinging brown sludge into the air. Trucks slide sideways into ditches. Horses strain until their legs buckle. Men wade forward shin-deep, then knee-deep, then waist-deep in filth that clings and drags, stealing strength with every step. Orders say advance. Reality says stop. Columns stretch for kilometers, immobilized. Fuel burns just to keep engines warm. Towed artillery becomes dead weight. Infantry pushes ahead alone, rifles wrapped in rags to keep mud from fouling the bolts. Ahead, the Soviets wait. They no longer flee. They counterattack in sudden, brutal bursts. Ski troops appearing from the trees, machine guns firing from positions that shouldn't exist, artillery firing blind through the rain. German casualties spike. Medics work in mud-soaked trenches, hands numb, supplies gone. And then the cold comes. Not gradually, not politely. Overnight, temperatures drop below freezing. Mud hardens into rutted stone, locking vehicles in place like insects trapped in amber. Engines refuse to start. Lubricants congeal. Metal burns bare skin. The Wehrmacht is not equipped for this. Summer uniforms remain standard issue. Winter coats are still in depots thousands of kilometers away. Some men stuff newspapers under tunics. Others wrap rags around their feet. Frostbite appears in casualty reports. First a trickle, then a flood. Rifles misfire. Machine guns seize. Panzer optics fog and crack. The invincible spearhead of Barbarossa begins to splinter. Still, the objective remains. Moscow. When the weather clears, the advance resumes, slow, painful, but determined. Vyazma falls. Bryansk is encircled. Another massive Soviet loss. Another illusion of success. But something has changed. The Soviet losses no longer cripple the front. New divisions arrive. Fresh faces. Siberian troops, disciplined, well-clothed, calm under fire. Intelligence reports mention they've been pulled from the Far East, freed by certainty that Japan will not attack. The Germans notice their uniforms first, then their marksmanship. At night, fires are forbidden. Men huddle together for warmth, breath fogging the darkness. The sound of Soviet artillery rolls in from the east. Closer now, much closer. And above it all, the calendar turns. October bleeds into November. Snow flurries begin. Light at first, almost beautiful. Then heavier, relentless. White erases roads, landmarks, depth perception. The world becomes silent, blinding, cold. Yet Moscow is there, so close that some units can see the distant glow of the city on the horizon. Days from victory. That's what the officers say. But the men no longer believe them, because the cold doesn't care about victory. And winter has only just begun. At the gates of Moscow. December 2nd, 1941. 5:45 hours. West of Moscow. Dawn comes slowly, a pale smear of gray over a frozen world. The temperature has dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Breath freezes in beards. Eyelashes turn white. Any exposed skin burns, then goes numb. Engines cough. Stall. Die. Men kick tracks. Strike fuel lines. Light small fires beneath oil pans. Against regulations, against fear. Just to coax machines back to life. Some succeed. Many don't. Entire panzer companies sit frozen in place. They're still useless in the cold. Infantry moves forward anyway. They march past wrecked vehicles half buried in snow, past horses stiff and dead where they fell, past comrades wrapped in blankets who will never move again. Rifles are slung carefully. A dropped weapon can shatter like glass. Ahead lies Moscow. Not the city itself, not yet, but its outer defenses. Trenches carved into frozen earth. Anti-tank ditches. Barbed wire crusted with ice. And behind it all, Soviet troops waiting silent, prepared. The Germans attack at first light. Artillery thunders. But shells burst weakly. Fuses unreliable in the cold. Smoke hangs low, trapped by the frozen air. Infantry advances in short rushes, boots crunching loudly in the snow. Every sound carries. Then Soviet machine guns open up. Disciplined. Overlapping. Devastating. Ski troops counterattack from the flanks. Moving fast where Germans struggle. White camouflage makes them nearly invisible until it's too late. Mortars rain down. Katyusha rockets scream, shredding nerves already stretched thin. For the first time in the war, the Germans are pushed back. Not a withdrawal. A shove. Command posts report confusion. Radios fail. Wires snap. Orders come too late, or not at all. Units fight isolated, some advancing, others retreating. None knowing what the larger picture looks like anymore. And then the Soviets counterattack. Everywhere. Fresh divisions surge forward, supported by tanks designed for this cold. T-34s, wide tracks gripping snow and ice where panzers slip helplessly. They roll through German lines, guns firing point-blank, engines roaring confidently in temperatures that cripple the Wehrmacht. The myth of German invincibility shatters. Frostbite casualties eclipse combat wounds. Field hospitals overflow. Amputations are performed without anesthetic. Medics mark bodies with tags that freeze solid before the ink dries. Hitler issues orders. No retreat. Stand fast. But standing fast means dying where you are. Some officers disobey quietly, pulling back a few hundred meters to survive. Others obey to the letter and vanish under Soviet artillery. By nightfall, the advance is stopped, not paused. Stopped. Moscow remains out of reach. The men know it now, even if no one says it aloud. Even if reports are still phrased carefully. Even if Berlin refuses to accept it. Operation Barbarossa, meant to destroy the Soviet Union in months, has failed at the gates of its capital. And the price for that failure is about to be paid in blood. Because the Red Army is no longer retreating. It is advancing. When time struck back, December 5th, 1941, 7 o'clock hours, the Moscow front, the silence breaks first. Then the guns. Soviet artillery erupts along a front stretching hundreds of kilometers, the ground shuddering beneath frozen boots. Shells slam into German positions with a violence that feels personal, measured, deliberate, unstoppable. This is not desperation fire. This is preparation. Red Army units surge forward through the snow, wave after wave, coordinated, relentless. Ski battalions slip through forests and frozen rivers, appearing behind German lines before alarms can be raised. Cavalry rides again, hooves striking ice, sabers flashing in the gray dawn. For the Germans, it feels unreal. Only days ago, they were attacking. Now they are fighting to hold ground they can barely defend. Ammunition runs low. Radios crackle, then fall silent. Officers shout orders that no longer match the battlefield. The cold tightens its grip. At -40, steel fractures. Fingers snap like twigs. Men fall asleep in foxholes and never wake. Entire units are reduced not by gunfire, but by frost. And still, the Soviets press on. T-34s punch through weak points, engines humming steadily, crews calm and methodical. Infantry follows close behind, grenades swinging, rifles leveled. Political officers shout encouragement. Medics drag wounded comrades back, then return to the line. This is not the Red Army of June. This is an army reborn. German positions collapse one by one. Some retreat in order. Others break and run. Abandoned equipment litters the snow. Guns, trucks, even tanks left where they froze. The road west becomes a trail of wreckage and bodies. Hitler's orders echo uselessly across the front. Hold. No withdrawal. But reality wins. By mid-December, the German advance has reversed entirely. The Wehrmacht staggers back tens, then hundreds of kilometers, bleeding men, machines, and morale with every step. The dream of victory in the east is gone, replaced by survival. In Berlin, the truth is carefully hidden. In the frozen fields outside Moscow, no one needs explaining. The soldiers know. They have seen it. They have felt it. Time, the one enemy Germany could not destroy, has turned against them. Operation Barbarossa did not end in a decisive battle or a single catastrophic defeat. It ended here in the snow and silence, where confidence froze, momentum shattered, and the war became something else entirely. A war Germany could no longer win quickly. A war that would consume everything. The road back is long, and winter is far from over.